Hello everyone, this is Clue, and I'm going to be going over some of the changes to warrior skills in the new 4.0.1 patch in Retail WoW. So I guess the first thing I'm going to go over is Battle Stance. It's changed. It no longer provides armor penetration. Instead, it increases damage done by 5% and decreases damage taken by 5%. So it's kind of a mix between Berserker and Defensive Stance. And Defensive Stance basically remains the same, except for increases threat generated by 200%, so it basically doubles your threat, and decreases damage taken by 10%. And then Berserker Stance, you have increased damage by 10%. No longer provides the critical strike anymore. We're going to look at a few other interesting little things here. We have plate specialization, which is a new thing that they introduced. If you're wearing, every piece of your armor is plate, it will increase your primary attribute, which is dependent on your spec. So for Prot Warriors, it's stamina. For Fury and Arms Warriors, it's strength. So I think you get this around level 70, I believe. Let's see, what else did they do? Let's see, what else did they do here? Into the arms tree. Well, of course you get Colossus Smash, which is kind of like a new, almost rage dump type of ability that basically makes it so for 6 seconds you're doing a ton of damage. I'm sure if you paired up with Recklessness, you could do some pretty insane damage. I mean, you know when you go up to a mob and you crit it for like a rabbit or something, and you crit it for however much K? Well, that's basically what's going to happen, except for it's going to be happening on mobs your level. So that's going to be pretty awesome once you know, everyone gets level 81. Thunderclap basically remains the same for the most part, I believe. All warriors get a new ability called Strike, which is basically the shitty form of Heroic Strike. Shattering Throw, I believe, is the same. Retaliation is the same. Charge is the same. Hamstring is the same. Heroic Strike is no longer a use on your next auto attack, and it no longer costs 15 rage. It costs 30 rage, 3-second cooldown. Basically, is used as a mortal strike for the most part. As you can see, it's an instant attack that deals 825 physical damage, and so it's insanely good, especially when you're trying to rage dump. So you use Heroic Strike in your DPS rotation when you have a lot of rage. Overpower is the exact same, except for the default cooldown is now only 1 second instead of 6, I believe. Excuse me. Rend is the same, I believe. Now, Battle Shout. This is another pretty huge change. Excuse me 1 second. Now, Battle Shout now has a cooldown on it. No longer costs rage. And what it does is it increases strength and agility of all raid and party members within 45 yards by 144, and makes you gain 20 rage. And the effect lasts 2 minutes, but it lasts 4 because of glyphs. But so what you're looking at here is basically your new Blood Rage, because Blood Rage has been taken out the warrior's arsenal. So basically your shouts are going to be your new Blood Rage. We have Demoralizing Shout, which they made a little bit better by reducing physical damage dealt by 10% instead of just attack power, which I believe is a pretty necessary change. Rage regeneration is the same. Berserker Rage, which is a pretty insane buff to it, can be used in any stance, so including defensive stance. So in arms, if you if you get feared, well, in arms you are pretty much screwed in most cases, but no longer. Execute is basically the same as before, I believe. except for I think it has a limit. Deal up to 680 additional damage. So yeah, it does definitely have a limit to how much extra damage it can cause. Intercept, exactly the same. Challenging shout, exactly the same. Cleave, basically the same thing as Heroic Strike. You're looking at 30 rage, 3-second cooldown, pretty hefty damage, even with a one-hander. Now Commanding Shout basically is turned into a Fortitude buff. Gives 153 stam, and it grants you 20 rage, so it does provide the blood rage effect. We have Pummel, which is exactly the same as before. Recklessness, which is the same. Slam, which is the same. Victory Rush, which has been changed. It still does damage, but it heals you 20% of your maximum health. And it can only be used within 20 seconds after you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor. So this is going to help warriors leveling up at the lower levels, especially. And it's going to be a pretty interesting to see how this works out. I mean, 20% of your life is a pretty huge chunk to be gaining after every kill. So this is going to let you AoE grind like mad. Whirlwind, basically the same, except for I believe they nerfed it because it only does 50% weapon damage from both melee weapons. So if you're just using a two-hander, it's not so useful. Inner Rage, which is a more of a fury-based thing, but usable when you have over 75 rage to increase all damage you deal by 15%, but increases the rage cost of all abilities by 50%. So I'm not really sure what they were trying to go for this, because 75 rage, basically if you just want to auto attack, I guess, for 15 seconds. But I'm not really sure, because I mean 75, you couldn't even get a Heroic Strike off. You couldn't get a Bloodthirst off. What could you get off? Execute? No, I don't think so. Only usable. Only usable. Oh, I think I understand. It's usable when you have over 75, but then after that you can spam it. So that's pretty cool. It's like a new, almost a Death Wish. Heroic Leap, which is a new Fury skill. 1 minute cooldown, 8 to 40 range, so it's kind of like Intercept. Leap through the air towards a targeted location, slamming down with destructive force to deal 100% weapon damage to all enemies within 5 yards and stunning them for 2 seconds. So what you're looking at here is a AoE Intercept. Now in Prot, let's see what we have here. Prot. Well, Devastate or Sunder Armor, either or. Now only it can be applied 3 times to the target. So that's a little bit of a change. And Devastate does do a little bit more extra damage now to targets. If you go the Prot tree, you'll have Sentinel, but I'm not going to go over that. Shield block, I believe, is the same. Disarm as well. Let's see what we have here. Stance Mastery, I'm not sure how much it was before, but it's 25 now. Not too sure about that. But Shield Wall is on a 2-minute cooldown now, and reduces all damage taken by 40% for 12 seconds. So that's pretty insanely awesome. So that's basically the main changes for warriors. That's like the main skill. So you're looking at, you know, Blood Rage getting removed, Berserker Rage getting, you know, buffed up, so it's actually usable in defensive stance and arms and everything. The shouts were kind of altered a little bit, but you don't really notice the change too much. Just have to use shouts a little bit more often than you're probably used to. And we're getting some pretty good PvP and PvE skills for DPSing. Although I'm kind of disappointed that there's no new Prot skill, because we're basically in Colossus Smash, Inner Rage, and Heroic Leap. But we're not getting anything in Prot to, you know, help us get a little bit more ridiculous. I mean, you could get Colossus Smash with a talent that refreshes Sunder Armor duration, but I mean, realistically, you could just Devastate once. I mean, you don't have to use as much rage, so. But it's going to be interesting to see how Colossus Smash gets, put into DPS rotations as well as Inner Rage. So that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure you leave any feedback or comments. Just, if you feel that maybe I missed something, or maybe you want me to do a specific other class. I only have a few classes I can do, but just let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out the rest of our channel and subscribe. Peace out, guys.